Number 1, tennis clubs. The Ace Tennis Club charges annual dues of $200 plus $7 per hour to use a court. You can see the table on the right shows a column for the Ace Tennis Club and the Love Tennis Club. So let's write the amount of annual dues for Ace is $200, and let's continue reading. Plus Ace charges $7 per hour, so $7 per hour. The Love Tennis Club charges annual dues of $300, so $300. Plus $5 per hour to use a court, so they charge $5 per hour. Show how each club's total annual fee is a function of the number of hours a court is used. And there's a space provided to write an equation. So let's first write the equation for Ace. So let's define our variables. The first variable we're going to use is the letter A for Ace and the letter H for hours. So the cost at Ace Tennis Club, so at Ace Tennis Club, is equal to the annual due of $200 plus the cost per hour to use a tennis court. So we're going to represent the cost per hour as 7 times H. Okay, so that's the equation for Ace Tennis Club. Now the equation for Love Tennis Club, we're going to use the variable L to represent love, and then we'll continue using the variable H to represent hours. So at Love Tennis Club, they charge an annual due of $300 plus $5 per hour, so 5 times H. So now we can look at the table and start substituting our time, H, into our equations to complete the table. So when we substitute 10 hours into the Ace equation, we get 200 plus 7 times 10. 7 times 10 is 70. 200 plus 70 is 270. So to rent a tennis court at Ace Tennis Club for 10 hours, it costs a total of $270, including the annual membership fee. Now let's do the same thing. Let's substitute 10 in for H in the Love Tennis Club equation, and we get 300 plus 5 times 10. 5 times 10 is 50, plus 300 is 350. Okay, go ahead and use the same strategy to complete the rest of the table. So hopefully when you completed the table, you were able to identify the pattern and notice that the time was increasing by 10 hours each time. And so the cost was increasing for Ace by $70 for each additional 10 hours. And the cost for Love Tennis Club for each additional 10 hours was $50. So notice at Love Tennis Club, you paid a higher annual membership fee, but the hourly rate to rent their tennis court is less. So the more you use their tennis courts, and you compare the cost to Ace, the less you're going to pay. Now let's take this data from the table and transfer it over to the graph. And we can see on the y-axis the units that are being used would be total annual fee, and then on the x-axis is court time. So total annual fee includes the membership fee plus the cost to rent the tennis court for a certain number of hours. So since we have two different comparisons, we're comparing Ace to Love, let's use a open circle on the graph to represent Love and a shaded in circle on the graph to represent Ace. And I'll put that in the table so I remember which is which. Now, at Ace, To rent the court for 0 hours, so to just pay the membership fee, it's $200. So remember, shaded in circle for ACE. At Love, it's $300 for 0 hours. So let's do an open circle there. Now let's go to 10 hours. At ACE, to rent a court for 10 hours, it's $270. Now notice that the y-axis values are increasing by 100 each time. So we need to estimate the placement of our shaded circle to represent $270. So halfway up between 200 and 300 is 250. So we're going to go a little bit higher than that. So let's say about right here would be 270. That's close enough. At Love, for 10 hours, it's 350. So that's going to be exactly in the middle of 300 and 400. So we're going to use an open circle there. So let's continue to plot the points. For 20 hours at ACE, it's $340. So let's estimate that to be about right here. And at Love, it's $400 for 20 hours. So open circle there. For 30 hours, it's $410 at ACE, right here. And at Love, it's $450. For 40 hours of court time at ACE, it's $480. And at Love, it's $500. So notice how when we first started plotting these points, the points were pretty far apart, but now they're starting to get closer and closer. And that's because as you use the court time more and more, it becomes a better deal to sign up to Love Tennis Club instead of ACE, because ACE charges more per hour to use the court time. So go ahead and finish this table. So when you complete the table, you should see that at 50 hours of time, the cost is equal at ACE Tennis Club and Love Tennis Club. So if you plan on using the tennis courts in the span of a year for more than 50 hours, you're going to save money by signing up to Love Tennis Court, because their hourly court fee is less than ACE Tennis Court. Conversely, if you plan on signing up to a tennis club and using their courts for less than 50 hours, ACE is the better deal, because ACE has the less expensive annual membership fee. Now let's move on to the candles question. Go ahead and read the problem, define your variables, and create your equations for the red candle and the blue candle. Okay, so we see that we have a red candle and a blue candle, and the red candle has, it starts at 12 inches long, and it's burning at a rate of 2.5 inches per hour. So the equation that you should have set up is R, representing red candle, equals its starting length, which is 12 inches, minus the rate at which it's burning per hour, so 2.5 inches per hour. I'm just going to represent inches per hour with the variable h for hours. And you can see that's also the variable used in the table. The blue candle is smaller, but it's burning at a slower rate. So it's getting smaller at a slower rate. So you're going to start at 9 inches and subtract 1.5 inches per hour. Now, using the variables in the table, using h, I want you to substitute the values for h into the equations to complete your table. So you should have noticed when you completed the table that if you identified the pattern, the red candle is decreasing by 2.5 inches every hour. So we're just going to subtract, since we're going in hours, we're increasing the time by 1 hour. you should just decrease the length of the candle, the red candle, by 2.5 inches every hour. And then you could have identified the pattern for the blue candle as well. It's decreasing in size by 1.5 inch per hour. Now, just like we did with the tennis club problem, I want you to use a shaded circle for the red candle and an open circle for the blue candle, and let's plot these values on our graph. Now, you'll notice that the red candle disappears at a quicker rate than the blue candle. So between 4 and 5 hours is when the red candle has disappeared, and it takes a full 6 hours for the blue candle to disappear. So go ahead and plot those points on your graph. Now check your graph to see if you have the same points as I do. That should be an open circle, not a shaded circle. And you can see that the candles are the same size. They're both 4.5 inches in length at 3 hours. Let's move on to the wild animal race problem. Once again, define your variables, which includes not only defining what's being asked in the problem, but also determine what letters you want to use in your equation. Once you define your variables and select your letters, I want you to create your two equations, one for the zebra and one for the hippo. So it's only logical to have an equation for the zebra start with Z, and the hippo will have an equation that starts with H. Go ahead and create your equations, and we'll check them in just a minute.